Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Good morning. This is Ellen coming to you from St. Bart's, and today we welcome Ryan O'Gara to Light Talk.
And this is David coming to you from the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Central City, Colorado. If you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers.
And Sistah.
You better believe it, Ellen. Welcome, everyone, to episode 222. And today we have a very, very special guest. We have acclaimed lighting designer Ryan O'Gara. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm wonderful. Good morning. And 222, what a good number. That's a lucky number, I think.
222?
We'll try it out on the lottery and see.
Well, it's only going to happen once in our career, so here we go. Episode 222. And just so that our listeners know, where exactly are you coming from today? Where are you recording from? Where's your home?
Oh, I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is right off the Delaware River near Trenton, New Jersey. And it's about an hour 20 from New York.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful place. So it's great to have you with us, Ryan. Before we get started, Ellen, would you please tell our listeners a little bit about Ryan O'Gara?
Sure. Ryan started in the theater industry when he was in the 6th grade and has not looked back since. At that early age, lighting became his main interest, and it has taken him around the world with many, many different projects. On Broadway, he was the associate to Howell Binkley for 26 shows.
Wow.
Currently, Ain't Too Proud, Come From Away, and Hamilton. Working with Howell, together they worked on over 100 shows, including remounts. Regional theater designs include Tuts, Paper Mill Playhouse, Walnut Street Theater, Drury Lane, Chicago for the 2019 Jefferson nomination for Beauty and the Beast, Cleveland Playhouse, Syracuse Stage, Baltimore Center Stage, Signature Theater, D.C., New Victory Theater, Capitol Repertory Theater, Bucks County Playhouse, North Carolina Theater, and the Bristol Riverside Theater for Barry Moore Award, Man of La Mancha. In the dance world, Ryan has designed and toured internationally for Hubbard Street Dance Chicago, and other notable companies he has designed for include ABT, Momix, Go, ATL, Ballet Hispanico, Cedar Lake Ensemble, and many others. He has also worked on NBCU's Up Front at Radio City Music Hall, Cirque du Soleil's Paramore in Hamburg, Disney Tokyo Sea's Out of Shadowland, New York City Opera Moses in Egypt, The Ride, New York, U.S. tours of A Night with Janis Joplin, and he is a graduate of University of North Carolina School of the Arts, School of Design and Production. Wow.
What an amazing career, Ryan.
Thank you.
Wow. I guess you are like the busiest guy on Broadway, as they say.
I can only dream to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know how people can do so many projects like this. But what a career that you've had already. And, you know, one thing I was noticing, you did a lot of work with the Hubbard Street Dance in Chicago, and that was one of your first projects.
Yeah, I started them just about a year out of college, and that's actually where I met Howell Binkley. I was remounting Parsons Envelope downtown, and that's where I met Howell. But yeah, Hubbard Street was an amazing start to my career, and really kind of sculpting the body, sculpting with light was really important to me. And so it made sense, and that was actually a big passion of Howell's. Dance was the core of his design work as well.
Well, dance and music. I mean, it's obvious from watching the work of the two of you that the lighting is so in tune with the music and the movement. That's fantastic. So let's get started with the show. Steve has the first question of the day.
Yes, and it's a two-part question. Man, that's a really impressive bio. I don't know if there's anything left to do, but if there is, what are you working on now? And the second part, I hear you're about to do your first Broadway show as lighting designer.
Yes, very exciting. In the fall, I have Thoughts of a Colored Man coming up on Broadway. And
wow.
Though that's a great, exciting piece, it's also in the Golden Theater, which is where I did my first project with Howell Avenue Q. So that, and also I have $1 Million Quartet Christmas, which is also, you know, it's amazing how my career so tightly aligns with Howell's and you know, offspringing out $1 Million Quartet Christmas. And it's actually going to be a tour and a sit-down that will start in Phoenix, and it'll go globally over the next couple of years. So it's pretty exciting. And Thoughts of a Colored Man, we have done the Out of Town, and it's such a special project. I'm glad that it's going to be one of the first new works to open up on Broadway.
So you did the Out of Town pre-COVID, and now you're coming back to it to get it on its feet for Broadway?
Yeah, we did the out of town in, I believe, 2019 in the fall. We started up in Syracuse stage and then moved down to Baltimore theater stage. And we had really, really great feedback from the audiences, and everybody felt it was ready. Then we had the movements going on during COVID with Black Lives Matter and thing. I remember texting the producer and saying, Brian, there's no time now. Like the world needs this project. We have so many issues in this world and people don't know how to relate to them. And this piece gently puts all these issues on your lap and lets you as an audience member slowly absorb it and see it where people can't really see some of the issues at hand.
Well, that's a pretty long time to wait. Were you able to put it in a box and put it on a shelf and not worry about it? Or did you think about it for the last year and keep kind of tweaking your ideas?
So we've had this amazing, we call them summits with Thoughts of a Color Man. And so we've been slowly kind of moving back into it and really putting a lot of the design stuff on the table and looking at the script and looking at the world. And Robert Brills, the set designer, has come up with some amazing reimagination of the set. And we keep, instead of like Robert doing the set and I do the lighting and somebody's doing the projection, we're having a full collaborative process and talking about individual events of, well, if the set did this and I can do this, or if the sound could do this, this would help us. And we're all really digging in deep to the project, and it's not, and everybody's in their own lane. We're all in our own lanes, really just exploring and expressing our feelings and what would work, what wouldn't work, what is an idea. And then we go away for a couple of weeks and then we come back again and then re-explore. And I had this thought, I had this image. And so it's really been an amazing thing. So we did put it in a box, but now it's been rewritten, reworked, and now we're exploring it again. And then we're slowly building up to the thing. Because the design it's not black and white. It's not something that you can, it needs to be this. It's all emotional feelings and responsiveness. And I think that's what's great about it. So it's given Robert the full thing to like explore, and then it's given us. So we've kind of, what we did before and what we're going to have now is going to be a completely different product in the end.
That's pretty cool. I mean, how often does that happen though? Where all the entire team is constantly talking to each other.
It's very rare. And I remember we were in a production meeting in Syracuse, and the production manager said, do you mind if I record your meetings? Because the way that you are speaking is the way that people should be speaking in collaborative projects, where it's a piece that you need to express yourself. We all need to find a way to help tell the story. And we all come to the story from all these different angles. So the good thing is the words help us, but it's been such a liberating process where you can say what you feel and then somebody else can jump off that and say, hey, this was what I thought when you said that. And this is where it took me. And I was like, oh, I was heading here, but that's even a better idea. So we keep working off each other, which is beautiful.
That's like true synergy. That's, we talk about that a lot, but, it's like, it's a shame it doesn't happen all the time.
So a lot of our listeners would love to hear a bit about what the process is for the shows that are returning to Broadway this fall. COVID safety, any new rehearsal or tech process? How is it similar or different from pre-COVID? And you'll be involved in the remounting of several of Howell's shows, I believe, including Hamilton, Come From Away, and Ain't Too Proud. Are there challenges you are facing in remounting these productions?
Yes.
This I want to hear. I've been waiting for this answer.
The COVID policies and stuff is all that's coming to the table, and we're still working through that. But I think the biggest thing is staffing and scheduling. Finding the way it overlaps. I have a schedule, and Jimmy Fadigan laughed because I broke down each production, the timeline when I'm there, and I even have it that me and David Archer are the jumpers. And then we have a constant team that stays behind us because every production, there's almost every week another one opens in a different city. So, I created this whole clear deadlines of this is where we're going to be. This is this production. These are the things that have to be done, because also now we're able to clear the slate and make sure documentation is up to speed. If there's things from productions that we've gone past to, we can put new things in. So all that's tracked. So for Hamilton, it's a huge feat, and the producers have been extremely supportive in the management of what we need, and having double staffs to train up so that we can take them further down the stream. So it's pretty aggressive and pretty amazing, actually, that we've figured it out. But then you add in Ain't Too Proud and Come From Away, which have multiple companies. So we have probably about 6 teams altogether that will be jumping around to help and support in a different fashions, like Amanda Zeev, who was a longtime Howell associate as well. And she'll be with me and like David Arch. And then we have a lot of like all the Howell Binkley shows, we're still keeping all the Howell Binkley staffing. And then we're all just moving around. So it's really cool. But I think the challenge is more than anything, we're staffing and scheduling to make sure we could get to where we need to. And also who's free, because every show or in the United States has to be touched before it opens up.
That's amazing. So how many shows in how many weeks?
Hamilton, I think, is 6 productions over 7 weeks. And so I start in August or July 28th, I fly out and I literally jump city to city to city until early September. And then that's New York. And then I jump to, I think, Superstar Tour. Then I jump back to New York to get Come From Away up. And Amanda and I kind of volley back and forth between certain things.
That is totally crazy.
Yeah.
If you need any help, Steve and I, we're here, and
I'm vaccinated.
I'm sure we can find some help. We are both vaccinated, and maybe we can even pull Ellen in.
Oh, perfect.
Ellen,
Right.
She's seen Hamilton.
I've seen Hamilton. I'm very good at paperwork.
But would you want to leave St. Bart's?
So there you go. Any schmuck who's seen Hamilton can do it, surely.
That's right. Now that it's on video, just turn on the video.
And with augmented 3D, when we did that thing, Amanda was like, "Hey, are we giving away the show to people because now they can focus the show to do the queuing?" I was like, "It's if anything, it's a tool for them to learn how to focus a Howell Binkley show, and that show is focused in this precision of that floor is something else because it works in so many different configurations." That if something's off, David gets on comm, and David's like, "Ryan, down left, look at down left," and it's one little index or one little shutter is off. With all those paths, it sticks out like a sore thumb, and that floor is a work of art. So it's there's a lot of time and attention spent to it. So I'm glad we did it because then it gives kids indexing templates, edging. There's so many things that they're not thinking about that when they do that project, they're like, "Wow, like look at the payoff now."
Wow, that is amazing. So my next question is sort of dear to our hearts because we're educators. When it comes to lighting education, many people who knew Gilbert Hemsley and Howell Binkley considered Howell as the 21st century incarnation of Gilbert. They believed in real-world education and opportunity for young designers. You are one of the principal people involved in the Howell Binkley Fellowship. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this program and who is its first fellow?
Well, Kat Zhao is our first fellow. She's a Boston University graduate, and we had 28 applicants, and the selection committee was Ken Posner, Ken Billington, Amanda Zeev, and myself, and Mark Stanley as well. And Mark Stanley, this is one of his students, and he was like, "Should I be part of this process?" I was like, "Absolutely, we all can be open to this." But it was amazing to see the amount of students and the caliber of these students that are coming out, and how hungry they were. And Amanda and I went back and forth. We're like, we're sad we didn't do this earlier in life because Howell would have really loved this and the process and the exposure to the students. Because one thing we've always done at any tech table, wherever we were, was there was always a headset for an intern. And then because there was constantly people coming in, and whether they spent the day, the afternoon, or a week with us, that was important to him. He wanted kids to be in the room to learn, and he would ask them questions. What did you learn? What did you he would take time to talk to them and understand what was going on with them. And that's where this fellowship for us was important, because this was a movement for him. And it wasn't just like, like he wanted like females and like everybody else, like he wants to diversify the team. And so I think with the movements that are going on in the industry, it's almost like he could see that coming before it actually ever hit. And, he would always take a chance on, he took a chance on me during Avenue Q. I had never done a show for him. He's like, "Hey, you want to do a Broadway show?" and that was great for him. And so, he invested in the young. He wanted to know that you were hungry. And so he would turn around and look and make sure they were paying attention. And he would ask us, "What did you think about that person? Should we bring them back? Do we want to bring them on a team? We have an opening here." So it was great. And so I think this fellowship, Amanda, Zeev, and I, have Kat. She's going to come in September through December, and this is amazing because she will be part of the design team on Into Proud tour. She'll be design team on $1 Million Quartet tour. So she'll be in the seat with us. She'll be moving through the openings and jumping through the theaters with us. And then also people are already offering her work. So this is amazing for her. And we've also set up a series of Zooms with her and people throughout the industry and different facets so that she could start to talk to people and understand people's history, where they came from. One of the things I want her to talk about is networking. How do you network in this crazy industry, and how do we keep evolving? Because I think that's important for us all to understand. How do we stay on people's radar when you're wanting work? And also like skills like drafting, the paperwork skills. And then I told her, we've given her things like look at other designers and what designs speak to you of other designers, because every designer has aesthetic. So I think it's kind of opened her world up to a lot more than she thought. And when we had this select down, I think we were down to 5 students, and we were like, every one of these people are absolutely exceptional. So we started zooming in with them and like, hey, do you want to come observe? Because it was just like, this doesn't need to be just one person. And all these other students were really exceptional as well. And Ken Billington and Ken Poser, like, we're going to take that person on for a show. So I think this fellowship is going to pay off.
So they all got something out of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is a beautiful thing, and we all believe in that. That's how you learn theater, by doing theater, and that's the only way you can learn professional theater. It's really a wonderful thing that you guys and gals are doing this. It's really, really important.
Yeah, thank you. We think it's very important as well, and it's like a passion for us because we're keeping his name out there as well. We're keeping his legacy. One of the things that they have to watch his tribute, and so they can learn the history and his impact on so many people and how much people he touched and how he touched them in a special way. I think it's important for designers to understand that you have to be a really good person as a person too, and people see that and it affects people.
Well, can you take a moment and talk a little bit about taking Hamilton down to Australia?
Absolutely. It was an amazing opportunity and an experience because we were in COVID and it was like, go to Australia, like you're gonna be locked in a room for 2 weeks for quarantine. And we were like, Dave and I are like, what are we going to do? Are we going to make it through this? This seems crazy. But we went through the quarantine. As soon as we came out, it was like Sydney was open for business. There was no mask. It was really wild. But then when we got to the theater, we had all the COVID protocols. And so you wore a mask and you stayed your 6-foot distance. And so it was all, we were doing our thing. And Nevin started playing In the Heights, the opening number. And we were doing I was working on the preset and walking around the theater checking sight lines, and it all kind of connected. And it was like it's the first show since Howell had passed away, and we were all back to work for such a big time. So it was like this huge lift, and it was such a moment that I don't know if I could ever recreate, but it was just like his thing of like, go, do it, make it happen, keep this work fresh. I'm with you. We have a picture of him on a tech table. We did something beautiful in the dome with the template that was named after him, the 7760. And so it was quite a thing. And so with this, with that template there, and it was just like, as we were cleaning through the show, we'd want to edit something. I'm like, he would love that. Nope, we're not doing that because, we still kept him with us. And it was such a process to be back to work, to be doing that. And it was very exciting, very scary at first. I remember getting out of the hotel and going to the theater for the first day after being quarantined. I was afraid to walk out the doors because your anxiety and you're like, I'm in a different country. I don't know where I'm going. Do I wear a mask? Not wear a mask? Where's the theater? What, it was just it took me about 10 minutes to go through the sliding doors because it was there was so many emotions, so many things going on. And then when I finally got out there and it was just like, wow, like, there was a moment of like your shoulders relax and you're like, it's going to be okay. We're going to do this, So it was an amazing experience, and Sydney is gorgeous and the show looks absolutely phenomenal there, and the audiences are eating it up, and they did such amazing press things. Like when you went over the bridge, there was all the Hamilton flags. So it almost like they as our path to the theater every day was Hamilton. So it was something else. It was really exciting.
That's really respecting an artist with love, what you just described here. And it is amazing that you were with Howell for so long that you basically know, as an associate of his, artistically what he would want. Mm-hmm. You should write a book. I really think, because the experiences that you've had and the connection that you have with these artists, and you being an amazing artist yourself, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, I remember when I assisted people, I tried to make decisions when the show went to other cities that they would make, not necessarily what I would make, but to have that intimate relationship with an artist and for so long is very, very special. Do you think that's affected your design? I mean, your art?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, how much has Howell influenced you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his eye, where he goes, how he carves, how he uses texture. Like I can't. It's hard for me to do a plot without 7760 and the 635 because it just you just know how to use it. And people joke, "Oh, you got that same template." I was like, but it works, and it's a tool.
Yeah, right.
And
a lot of us use that template.
Yeah, and it works so well. So I mean, yeah, and how he attacks stuff, and he would trust us. Like he trusted like certain associates to be like, go ahead, like you go about it. Let me see how you go about it, and then I'll edit out of it. And there was a great back and forth, but also he couldn't be everywhere at once. So he had trusted associates that would cover for him. And he loved that. He said it was always important to him that I still designed as well. And he goes, because you're going to learn things and you're going to bring that back to this show and back to my work. And we would see things like, oh, this person used this thing. Let's experiment with that system or this, so each plot had its core things, but we always kind of figured out what would work. What's a new idea? It was never like we're going to go A, B, C, D. We always morphed and changed and fluctuated. And that's what he was great about it. And he was an amazing editor. He could look at that stage and hear that song, call hold and make 4 or 5 adjustments. And it was just like, well, yep, there it is. And it would be like spot on. It wouldn't be like, okay, a little more editing is needed. He would just nail it to the wall. And it was just people just would get mad at him because he had such that skill and that responsiveness. And, he's like, we don't get caught up in concept and all that stuff. It's all about you're responsive to the environment and that stage and what was going on and how that environment should look and how it should move. And, that was all straight from the gut responsiveness. And he just had, it was a blessing, and and so fast. He knew exactly what the problems were and nailed them to the wall.
And on top of which, he remained humble.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank God.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes, the most humble man, amazing.
Well, Gilbert was really much the same way, I must say. I was fortunate to have assisted Gilbert. It was all about being open and listening and realizing that no matter how big you are or experience, you always have something to learn from other people.
Absolutely.
So,
and also Howell was always thankful to be in the room. And so he would say, I'm, like the first day of tech of any show, he would have butterflies in his stomach and he would be like nervous and excited and, and it would never, no matter what the scale or size, but he would just be like, we're thankful to be here. Like they hired us. Like they, and it never was like, I'm Howell Binkley, I should be doing it. It was like, he was very graceful and thankful to be there and respected everyone in the room and would have conversation with everyone. It was important for him to have a relationship with everyone. And he was always like, make sure you know what's going on in the room, which meant like the whole, the temperature of everyone, the environment, like, and it was important. And he liked like calm, everybody's happy and the stress. He didn't like that. He was very chill. And people respected that because they could come to him and give him notes, and he wouldn't be like, "This is my idea. I want it to be this." He'd be like, "Okay, like you want this? No problem. Let's look at this." And that's what he was, a collaborator, a true collaborator that listened to everyone around him, and was humble about it, like you said, and it was amazing.
Absolutely. So, he was a workaholic. You seem to be a workaholic. How do you balance this with having a family and young children?
Oh, yes. The wonderful family balance. Which was amazing now is with COVID is that I was able to kind of really like connect with my wife and my children and create, we moved in last July so that we went to the pandemic. We're like, oh, we're going to move. And so we finally have come into a nice, calm, structured routine. And then it's like, I'm going to go back to work. But this is the lifelong question I'm constantly asking myself and everybody. It's like, how do you still stay connected with our crazy hours? Even when I was in Sydney, you're on, 13 hours the other direction. And it's definitely hard. And you have to have the right partner that understands this and that your love for this. Like, this isn't just a job. Like, we don't do theater because we want to make money. It's because we love to do it. And my wife is very, she understands that. And she's like, I know how much you love what you do. And I love it that you're so happy about it. And so there's a lot of patience. But it's also, I'm constantly reading ways of how to stay connected when we're afar. and we're in a crazy tech process, we're drained by the end of the day, but then we still need to be able to give something back to our family. Our family's always there for us, and the shows come and go. And so it's how do we stay? And I still find this battle, but I think it's something healthy for us to talk about. And how do we, stay connected to our kids when, especially in Hamilton, I'm going to be jumping city to city to city for 2 months straight, but then have time to say goodnight to my children or read them a story. And so I find things where I read a book on video and send it to them so then they can be played that at night. And, thank God there's FaceTime. FaceTime is an amazing thing, But then my youngest, he's only 4. He likes to hit the red button and he gets a giggle like, I closed you off. And so, it's ever evolving, but, it's trying to find that thing. And I think a lot of people now are like, I don't want to work as hard. I want to be home more. I want to be, see my kids grow up and go to their baseball games. So I think that's a balance that we're all going to try and find, is how can we still make a living, but not be stuck in a theater all the time.
I was going to say that, USITT and some other people are having this conversation about no more 10 out of 12s, that it's just wears people down and that it's just not a good habit.
I think for me, the 2 days off is more important than the 10 out of 12. Because then if I'm in a city, I could fly home, spend a day and a half at home and fly back, where 10 out of 12 just means that I'm not in the theater just as long that day. But the kids are in bed either way, before I get home.
Yeah, that's interesting. COVID was such a reality check for all of us. It's affected so many of our colleagues. I think that people are rethinking right now on how they spend their lives and their time. So on another subject, which lighting technologies excite you right now? What's coming out right now that really excites you as a tool for you to create your art?
I think the augmented 3D, like I was telling you earlier, has been really, really great, and we've been able to really work with it. I was using that for previs and showing photos to clients for what shows could look like, and because it all talks to everything, and you're working with the console, I think augmented is definitely going the right lines, and hopefully they can keep streaming it more. But it's been the new technology that has excited me the most, and it's the most I talk about with my collaborators and other people of like, hey, throw that show in 3D, throw that show in augmented, let's see what that looks like. Instead of guessing, show me that system in there and see how it works. And then, it's saving time, because then you're not having the crew hang a bunch of lights, and then you go to focus and it doesn't work. Already.
Yeah, for our listeners who may not know exactly what you're talking about, Augmented is a ETC program that integrates with their EOS software and does allow you to work within a 3D environment very easily. So I guess my question is, do you just use ETC consoles, or do you transfer this process into other consoles?
I'm mostly a 2-console person. Any of my major things like the NBC up front at Radio City are on the grandma, and it's mostly a programmer preference as well. Like whatever programmer wants, whatever console they want, I can work with both. But because ETC consoles are mostly in the regional theaters, most in the shops, and that ends up becoming the ETC show, because also the crew training is important as well. And if I'm going to send out a tour or something else, and the crew doesn't know the grandma, and that learning curve is important, where everybody has an Ion or an EOS that they've worked with and understand. Right.
And they're not learning some other 3D program. They don't have to learn Vision, or they don't have to learn WYSIWYG or something like that, that they can work within Augmented to do what you need to get done. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Really interesting.
Well, you're working on a film right now, aren't you? Come From Away. What's up with that?
Yeah, actually, we just finished it, and it was really wild. We did the filming in the theater, and they ripped out 3/4 of the seats and the platforming, and we've done like our B-rolls and everything else, but to actually go into a filming with like a DP from Hollywood and everything was an experience I've never could have been prepared for. But it was really amazing, and we really kind of had really great conversations. The show was literally for film, so we re-engineered all the cueing so we've recreated the show that it'll look like the Broadway production, but it's been relit for film so that we can have all the camera angles and they look at each other, the fall spots. It's really been carved out. And Tobias, the DP, was just amazing and patient. And we were going, he goes, how come you're pushing me so fast? I was like, we're still in the first number. He says, what? I was like, yeah, there's 600 cues in this show, man. We got to keep going. And it's because the show dips and changes and shifts, you can't track as much as you would want to because you're going to get rid of the nuancy things, throughout. So we worked through the show and we put, the standbys, we went understudies on stage and we relayed the show with all the understudies. So then we had bodies so we can see it and through the camera lens with the follow spots, and the lenses had to be changed. And the follow spot operators were absolutely, we took the show and we shredded it up for them and gave it back. And it's one of the most complicated follow spot shows I think ever. And they did great. Pete Guernsey and Erica, and then they just did amazing. With every day we were adjusting their levels, put another screen in front of them and seeing how the balance went. And, it was overall an amazing experience. Like Amanda and Joel were on the team with us, and Alyssa, and they did it amazing with the amount of changes and the amount of adjustments we had to make. And like literally we did not stop. We walked in the theater at 8 and we went right up until the end of the day, cueing, recueing, cleaning up. And then the filming, just watching the screen and the lens and taking little adjustment notes, or when we're doing certain cuts and we had to doing the flip and they were recording past what we had cleaned up. I'm calling in audibles and grab group 52 and roll it up slowly and grab that. So it was just, it was like you're constantly under fire, and every day, like my tech table was different. So I was trying to figure out where I could set up, what I needed to go. So if I was down in the basement, if I was on the stage, or if I was in the house or wherever I was, that we can have constant, when the DP moved, somebody could get the information back to me, or I was with him. And so it was it was amazing just how the information flow and everything went. And I think, everybody was like, they looked amazing through the lens, but in the audience, we had an invited audience to come in, and I just was like, please do not judge the way it looks from here. Because it just was like, when you looked at the stage, like, what the heck? But on the lens, it looked amazing. And then when we did the reverse shot, all the front, like it was all just about the beams moving so they can get that reverse shot. And I looked at Richard Winkler and I was like, please don't judge me. Like I trust me, it looks great on the thing. And, it's the front light smashing it full and this and that, and the follow spots and the moving lights. And it was, but it worked out well for the recording. But, part of you is like scared too, because you're like, I hope it does look good in the end. Like I'm trusting everybody telling me like, this is all working. But,
So I assume you were involved in the Hamilton filming as well.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Only a little bit because of the scheduling conflicts. But that was less, I feel like that was less as drastic as the Come From Away.
Because I thought the Hamilton was brilliant. I thought the video of it was the best thing I've seen so far, transferring from stage to video. And I was going to ask you, have you learned from an experience like that, moving into what you're doing now?
Yeah. Well, I think the shows are completely differently lit, where Hamilton is very like zeroed in, moving lights, very clean, and where Come From Away is a lot of conventional lights, especially in New York. So it was like a whole different practice because, with our temp crossed where they were located, they get rid of for the film, any of the down lights because of the nose had to be pulled away, and we had to kind of recarve. So we added a whole electric upstage just to help edge people that we had to get rid of. So I think Come From Away was a lot more work to kind of get it to where it needed to go.
How much time did you guys set aside for this?
We did 4 days of pre-lighting, and then we still continued that in the mornings as well during the shoot.
And how many days of shooting?
I think we did 6 days of shooting, and that includes some green screen stuff and reverse shot as well.
That sounds really aggressive.
Yeah. It was wild.
Are they using any extended reality in this film?
No, it's the show, and Chris actually was really like good about capturing the show and keeping he was kind of like our daddy, keeping the DP in line for the nope, that you're going too far, let Ryan just so because it was a weird thing with Howell not being there and me kind of stepping in but keeping the design and having to fight for no, we need that because that's the floor and we have like a carpet and there's things that he's just like you don't need those lights. I'm like, yes, we need them, but if they're let me go to your world and help you. And then we took the camera up, he goes, he got it. So, it was just, this DP does a lot of Hollywood and like things like that. So this was a newer, not a new world for him. He's done other theatrical things, but this I think was the furthest venture. And so, but it was a great volley and he was amazing. We had a really good time and we joked and laughed a lot. And it was good. And he would keep nudging me when we'd be running a sequence, like, oh, this looks great. Oh, this looks great. So
That's wonderful.
it was cool. It was a lot of fun, but very intense.
When does that come out?
I believe in September.
Great.
Wow. That's right around the corner.
Yeah, they're very aggressive
really looking
schedule.
forward to that.
Excellent.
So, on a slightly different subject, what is the most collaborative project you ever worked on, and what made it so satisfying?
Well, I think I would go back to Thoughts of a Color Man and the collaboration that we had before, but really where we've moved into now, where we are comfortable in our own shoes, that we can talk about other people's work and have intense conversations about it, and nobody's feelings are hurt. Like this part, and sometimes it was at me, like there are like certain things you're doing we think is too heavy-handed. We want to, and we would evaluate it and talk about it and be positive and also, constructive. And I think that's not done a lot where, like I'm a lighting designer, I'm the set designer. It's like, well, sometimes we go, hey, can you shade this a little darker for us? But it's like, well, this element is really kind of killing me. And is it paying off for the show? Can we really think about its weight there? And we've had a great volley. And I think that doesn't happen a lot because it's usually you get the set design and you just light around it and maybe get a few things to change. But on this, we've all kind of pulled everything back and rebuilt it and evaluated things that we had before. And does this work? Does this not work? I feel this. I support you. I don't support you. And so it's been really great because I don't know many projects where we have that kind of back and forth and openness that, we can talk about it and be frank about it. And, nobody's feelings are getting hurt. No one's pride is in the way. It's like, yes, this works for the show. This does not work for the show. So,
and who are the other designers?
So Robert Brill and Sven Orville. And and they're really great people. And Steve Brox, the director, is really, really awesome, and he's such great energy, and he loves different ideas, and then he takes them in, and he's looking, and then he listens to what everybody has to say, and so it's great to have a director that listens as well and wants to hear what we have to say and how we feel about the piece and how we respond to what's going on in the scene, and so we he'll take something that we said from one meeting and bring it back in. I thought about this and I did this research, and now what do you think of this? And it's we're constantly evolving, and you don't see this very often where there's such a great collaboration from the early process.
Are other directors not as open to that, or there's just not time? Or
I just think it's all the process, and there's a lot of time that directors kind of just want to see what you do and edit you in the space, and they don't know how to speak to you lighting wise. I think that's a lot of it, and I think the timing, especially when we're all moving at 100 shows per minute, that there's not the time to evolve. Des has a thing where he does a formatting session, typically, and you're in the room and you work through the show slowly, and you all get to talk about it. So Des has a great process that he does that with, but typically it's kind of you go in, you do your thing, and then you edit, and maybe you have 2 meetings to talk about lighting. It's kind of like I feel the typical way, but this is where we've really ripped the show apart, talk about it, flipped it around, twisted it, and I think that the set design and where we're going design-wise have all reflected like a good development process.
so this is really an off-the-wall question, but do you read music?
I can follow along, but I struggle a little bit. Like I did an opera, and it was I was just like, I spend more time looking down. I was like, give me the words because I don't need I need to look up here. I can't be following where we're at down here. And I feel music, and so it's amazing when you have a stage manager that cannot feel music.
Oh my God, that's a disaster.
And it's like, well, no offense, but why are you doing a musical? Because like you're like,
well, if they could follow a score, you say it's right here on this beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, but you feel music. It's obvious you feel music.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing. When I used to recruit grad students, that's what I looked for. I looked for people who could feel the music. I could teach people how to follow a score. They don't need formal music lessons to do it.
Yeah.
But if you can't feel it, I think you're kind of screwed as a lighting designer, Absolutely. Even if you're just doing plays. Yeah. There's music in everything. Yeah. I think that's really a quality that is required for lighting design. Okay, so I have the last question of the day. And Ryan, we have a lot of students who listen to our show from all over the world. What advice do you have to give to young lighting designers in their pursuit of a career in a post-COVID world?
Well, I think, I say this a lot where they need to be a sponge and just absorb everything. And I'm a big fan of, like I said earlier, seeing other people's work and seeing what responds to you. Go see a Natasha Katz, go see a Ken Billington, see what designer responds to you. And I'm not saying to be an associate assistant, but you will learn a lot by working under a designer you respect and you like their aesthetic. And it's important for you because there's a lot of European influences in my work from the dance world. I've done Ohad Naharian's works from Batsheva. And so like there's the Zacha, which is the backlight, the par backlight, and Bambi, his light designer, Black Milk. I've done a lot of those European works for Hubbard Street. So I feel like you're seeing a lot of work, paintings, and just all that influence, and hold on to those images and those influences. Having a little book that you write down of like something you saw, because you always want to find inspiration and a jump off point for something else. So, I think that's important. And I think also in this, as a young designer, don't be afraid to be an electrician or be something else. I've met, like Jackson Miller was an electrician at the Public, and he saw me working on Dr. Zhivago in the lobby. He's like, "Can I watch you?" I was like, "Sure, come on over." And then so he started seeing how I dissected the plot, cleaned up the notes, worked out stuff. And then he became an assistant with us, and now he's one of our programmers. And so you need to always just find a way, but also like what he did is he showed interest. And so whatever you're doing or wherever you're at, show that you're interested and somebody will pick you up. Don't be afraid to ask the question. And you have emails and Facebook, and how do you, this is the big thing I talk about, how do students network? And so I'm not going to go to coffee with you. I have 2 kids at home and a wife. I want to get home, but I can talk to you quick, or you can come by the theater. And so like coffee's kind of out of the picture, but let's find another way to meet, and stay on my radar.
Doesn't it blow your mind that so few people do this? Actually are proactive enough to contact you and say, "Hey, can we talk?" I can't tell you how many students I've said, "You've got to, you're in LA, these fantastic designers coming into town, just find them on Facebook and send them a message."
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Every city we go to, Amanda's so funny because she will call the university and be like, "We're here, we want to have a student come in here, come send somebody to us." Like we end up recruiting because they don't know enough, and it's just follow, what's coming in town, all the big shows, they're going to have the tech, and it's great to come and observe and be a fly on the wall. What you'll learn is amazing.
That's right. Well, all that's so inspiring, Ryan. We want to thank you for being with us on Light Talk today. And we want to wish you the very best of luck with your very busy summer and fall. And don't forget to call us if you need any help, all right?
Absolutely.
Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids tells us that once again you've spent another morning listening to Light Talk. You can hear our show on Spotify, iTunes, Google, YouTube, livedesignonline.com, Amazon Prime, and just about every other podcast site out there. Be sure to check out our website on lighttalk.org for future guests, and follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
if you do decide to litigate, the law firm of Flecht, Flocked, Flare, and Glare and their paralegal Snoot will defend us until our retirement funds are depleted.
Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers and Sistah. Coming to you from St. Bart's, Pennsylvania, Central City, Colorado, and the Republic of Texas.
And be sure to join us next week when we talk about even more crazy things about this insane industry.
All that and a new sponsor.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable Lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So thanks again to Ryan. And we will be seeing you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Bye now.
Light Talk.